Global happenings today. We communicate. We analyze global news. Stay tuned.
Hello beautiful people, welcome back to our channel. Some few weeks ago, Mike Zehume, senior advocate of Nigeria, had called out the AGF, that's the person of senior advocate of Nigeria as well, Fagbemi, and advised him to actually properly and professionally, legally advise Mr. President over his jurisdiction, especially with the case of trying to withhold local government funds using the case study of River State over Osun State. That matter has been pending. Obviously, from what we gathered, he may have been handling a case to that effect, and there have been a lot of shout out to that effect. Well, apparently, there is more that meets the eyes. Follow this very quickly, follow it very attentively, and hear what has gone international. As looks as if it's a case of if you step, you are going to, a lot of things will be unraveled around you. Let's dive into the newspaper to find out exactly what we are rambling over. But before we do that, kindly subscribe to our channel. And according to what we gathered, it's a case of exposing the Nigerian rough system in both the political and the legal system. Now, according to what we gathered, there's a quiet house at 79 Randell Avenue, North London, has become the unlikely centerpiece of one of the most extraordinary property fraud cases ever to involve two of Nigeria's most prominent figures, which is the late General Jeremiah Useni and Chief Mike Zehume, senior advocate of Nigeria's son. That Nigerian politicians are corrupt is no news to anyone. What is remarkable is how their corruption is facilitated, even legitimized by senior members of the Nigerian bar in foreign courts. And the case scheduled in early September 2025 by the UK First-Tier Tribunal Property Chamber reviewed how this property, purchased in 1993, at the height of General Sani Abacha's regime, was registered under the false name Tali Shani. Decades later, the tribunal uncovered how this phantom identity was used to cancel Useni's ownership and later became the basis of a failed attempt to pass the house to Chief Zehume. What emerged was a shocking tale of forgery, fabricated identities, and collusion between Nigeria's political and legal elites. Forged identities and fabricated claims. Now, the tribunal was tasked with resolving competing claims. On one side stood one Mr. Tali Shani, produced by Chief Zehume as the supposed registered owner who had transferred the property to him in 2021. On the other was Miss Tali Shani, presented by Nigerian law firm Edeho and Co. through their London agent solicitor, that's Kingsley Efemwa, who opposed the transfer. The stories quickly unraveled. Follow. Mr. Tali Shani told the tribunal he bought the London house in 1993 at just 20 years old, using profits from selling sweets, mangoes, and cattle in Nigeria. He claimed he then appointed General Jeremiah Useni, then a powerful FCT minister, as his property manager. Now, the idea of a headsman hiring a sitting general as a property manager would be comical, if not absurd. But that of Miss Tali Shani was even more fantastical. Although she was the applicant in the matter, she never appeared throughout the proceeding. Her legal team submitted a raft of fraudulent documents, a forged Nigerian National Identity Number NIN slip that was created in Monaco through an online loophole, a fake mobile phone bill later traced back to her lawyer, Mohammed Edward himself, and even a death certificate riddled with contradictions. When pressed on her absence from the proceedings, her lawyers first claimed that she was gravely ill, then announced her sudden death in 2024. Filing documents so sloppy, they included a Sunday funeral scheduled on the wrong date. Two men appeared as her supposed son and cousin. Their accounts contradicted each other and collapsed under questioning. When asked about picture of Miss Sani's funeral, one of the witnesses claimed that the funeral photographer was killed by bandits immediately after this funeral took place. But what was shocking at the end of the matter was that Miss Shani never existed. She was the creation of some lawyer from the Nigerian law firm of Edowo and Co. Her legal team in Nigeria, that's Edward and Co., and their London counterpart, Kingsley Efemua, a London-based solicitor, submitted a bundle of fake documents to the tribunal in proof of her existence. When the charade unraveled under scrutiny, Mr. Efemua abruptly withdrew from the case, leaving behind a trail of professional embarrassment. Although an individual presented himself with a Nigerian passport in the name of Mr. Tali Shani, he had no connection to the 1993 purchase. This is because Tali Shani was in fact an alias for General Useni. It remains baffling how another individual could assume that name, acquire a Nigerian passport to that name, and then seek to transfer the property to Chief Ozehume, a senior lawyer who could hardly claim ignorance of such a comical sham. In the end, the claims of both Mr. and Mrs. Tali Shani collapsed under scrutiny, exposing a case as a fraud built on identity theft and deception. They say it's a general Useni's hidden purchase. Now, with the phantom claims dismantled, attention shifting to General Useni testifying by video link in 2024. Shortly before his death, the 81-year-old admitted bluntly he had bought the property in 1993 and had registered it under the false name Tali Shani. This was not an isolated deception. In 2022, the Royal Court of Justice forfeited £1.9 million from account Useni had opened under the alias Tim Shani. He insisted that it was merely a coded password name, but the Jersey court dismissed the excuse, noting that he obviously used the name to conceal stolen funds. The London Tribunal drew the obvious parallel. The coincidence of Tim Shani and the Tali Shani was no accident. Useni had a pattern of laundering funds under false Shani names. The judge concluded this was a layered disguise designed to keep Useni's name off official records. And one of Nigeria's most high-profile lawyers is perhaps the most troubling. In 2021, he applied to register the house in his own name, claiming it had been transferred to him by Mr. Tali Shani. He described the transaction as a gift from a grateful client, supposedly worth over £500,000 in unpaid legal services. Under scrutiny, this story crumbled. Ozehume's explanation shifted repeatedly as his credibility crumbled. At times, he had said there was monetary consideration, then insisted it was a pure gift, then suggested it was payment in kind, and at one point implied another property had been given in exchange. No documentary evidence of any legal services from Ozehume to Mr. Shani was ever produced. When pressed to cite even one case he supposedly handled for Shani, Chief Ozehume invoked client confidentiality. The tribunal dismissed his account as contravened and invented. Evidence showed that Ozehume had been managing the property since at least 2019, holding a power of attorney from Mr. Shani and collecting rent on Useni's behalf. Judge Patton concluded the 2021 transfer was orchestrated by Useni, and that Ozehume's shifting stories were fabrications designed to legitimize a fraudulent transaction. The tribunal ruled that since Mr. Tali Shani had no legitimate title, he could not convey the property. It ordered the land registrar to cancel Ozehume's registration application. The ruling left the 79 Randall Avenue property in legal limbo. On paper, it remains registered to Tali Shani, a facetious name. In reality, it belonged to General Useni, now deceased. With the phantom owner never real, the property has no valid claimant. It may ultimately revert to the British Crown as an unclaimed property. For Nigeria, however, the implications are deeper. This case illustrates how corruption operates. Politicians hide wealth abroad under false identities, While lawyers sworn to uphold the law serve as enablers of fraud, Useni's conduct was part of a familiar pattern among Nigeria's elite, where public office is treated as a platform for personal enrichment. More disturbing is the role of the legal profession, from Nigerian lawyers who fabricated a person that never existed to UK-based solicitor who blindly pursued the case of a non-existent client, feeding the tribunal with fraudulent documents, demonstrated how Nigerian lawyers have become midwives of fraud and corruption in the system. Without their active participation, the country would never have been so embarrassed at this London tribunal. The tribunal also highlighted failures in Nigeria's own institutions like fake NIN slips, forged death certificates, and bogus court orders were produced with apparent ease, suggesting weak oversight and impunity at home. That it took a British court to unravel the fraud is an indictment of Nigeria's regulatory and justice system. In societies with strong law practice, regulatory oversight, lawyers like this would already be under investigation by their professional bodies. In Nigeria, one must ask whether the legal practitioners' disciplinary committee will summon the courage to investigate, let alone sanction such misconduct. This is not merely about one house in London, it's about the integrity of the Nigerian legal system and the willingness of the bar to hold its members accountable. When senior advocates participate in or turn a blind eye to obvious fraud, they erode public confidence in the very profession meant to safeguard justice. Now, the saga of 79 Randall Avenue is more than a property dispute. It is a case study in the anatomy of corruption, exposing how political power and legal expertise intertwine to hide stolen wealth. A British judge, unencumbered by local politics, was able to trace the lies, cut through the forgeries, and prevent the fraudulent transfer. Neither the facetious claimant, Ms. Stanley Shani, nor the senior advocate got what they wanted. The property remains in limbo, but for Nigerians, the lesson is clear. Until the powerful are held accountable at home, and until lawyers who enable corruption face discipline, the circle will continue. A modest house in North London has become a mirror reflecting Nigerians' deeper rot, while politicians launder public wealth, lawyers provide the cover, and justice emerges only in foreign courts. Let's meet in our comment section. What's your take?